Welcome back to Retro Rewind. Ready to jump back with us again?
Oh yeah, time for another trip.
We are cracking open another classic issue of Nintendo Power, and this one, it feels like a fresh start, kicking off a brand new year.
That's right, we're on to issue 004, covering January and February of 1989. Just imagine being there. It's early 89, maybe you just got some amazing holiday games.
Yeah, like Super Mario 2 or maybe Castlevania 2.
Exactly. And then this lands on your doorstep, promising what's next, and maybe, more importantly, how to beat the stuff you're already stuck on.
And wow, what a way to start the year. The cover is it's pure NES icon status. It's Link.
Right. The cover for Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, you see him there, sword and shield out, standing in front of this, mysterious chamber entrance.
It just sets the mood perfectly for the huge feature inside. So our mission for this Retro Rewind is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Walk through these pages with you, dig up those tips and tricks, and just, soak in that early 89 nostalgia.
Okay, so let's flip past that awesome cover. What about the welcome message inside? What's the vibe they're setting?
Well, they sound really hyped up, ready for 1989. They promise readers more video game playing power than ever, which, is classic Nintendo power talk already, right?
Totally. Even just 4 issues in, they're positioning themselves as the place for tips, tricks, features, stories.
Yeah.
And those secrets, the ones you desperately needed.
Yeah, they're definitely setting an exciting tone. They put Zelda 2 Necken right up front, calling it the greatest adventure of all time so far. That's a pretty bold claim.
Well, considering how huge the first Zelda was, you can kind of see why they'd go big, but yeah, quite the statement.
They also tease the other big features in here. Besides the massive Zelda 2 Necken thing, there's the Nintendo Power Bowl, looking at football games.
Oh, right, Tecmo Bowl and others.
Yeah, and a feature on Skate or Die, so that's pretty rad.
Yeah.
And they continue Captain Nintendo, part 2 of that story.
And besides those headliners, they list all the sections that are probably starting to feel familiar if you've been reading from issue 1. You've got Counselor's Corner,
Why it's helpful.
classified information for the secrets, Pack Watch looking ahead, the mailbox, NES achievers for high scores, and the top 30 chart.
It really feels like, by issue 4, they've kind of nailed the formula, This is the Nintendo Power structure we remember.
Definitely. Okay, so let's dive into the main event, the cover story. Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link.
Yes. The magazine gives this game a huge amount of space, like 17 pages, according to the contents.
17? Wow, that number alone tells you how big a deal this game was expected to be. It wasn't just another sequel.
No way. This was Link's latest adventure, and Nintendo Power was clearly going to hold your hand through it.
And the first thing that jumps out, which the magazine shows really well with its screenshots, is that big change in gameplay, right? From the first Zelda.
Oh, totally. You still have the overhead map for walking around Hyrule.
Right, the overworld view.
But then, boom, it switches to side-scrolling for towns, palaces, and crucially, those random enemy encounters on the map.
Yeah, the magazine shows those 2 views side by side. It really highlights how different it felt. If you were expecting just more top-down Zelda, this was a major shift. Kind of jarring, actually.
For sure. And to deal with this new, arguably tougher Hyrule, Link needed stuff, lots of items and magic. The magazine lays it all out, which must have been a lifesaver.
Okay, let's see. You've got the magic jar, standard pickup for refilling magic points, essential for spells.
And the heart container, obviously. Gotta get more life. You really, really needed it in this game. It was hard.
No kidding. Then the utility items. The candle. You found that pretty early, right? And you needed it.
Oh, yeah. Pitch black caves, just like the first game. Without it, you're just bumping into walls and enemies.
The handy glove, I like that one. Let you break specific blocks.
Opened up paths, and the boots let you walk on water, or like shallow stuff. And maybe lava later.
Yeah, certain terrain types really changed how you got around the map.
Then the raft for crossing bigger water areas. And the flute. What did the flute do again in this one? It wasn't like the first game's warp whistle.
The magazine says it summons a tornado, which sounds weird, but I guess it could zip you around if you knew where it went. Kind of specific.
Okay. Then there's a treasure bag.
Yeah.
Just gives you points. Seems less useful.
Yeah, maybe for bragging rights. But the magic container, like the heart one, increased your maximum magic. Good for casting more spells.
And the hammer for smashing rocks and pillars and stuff, right? On the map or in dungeons.
Exactly. Looking at this list, you just realize how much you depended on finding the right tool.
And then there's the magic system. Totally different. Actual spells Link learns that use up magic points.
Right. Shield was basic defense up. Super useful before tough fights.
Jump. let you jump higher. Essential for all that side-scrolling platforming.
Fire, obviously, for shooting fireballs.
Yeah.
Good ranged attack. And then there's spell. The spell.
Huh. Yeah, weird name. The magazine says it lowers enemy defenses. Kind of niche, but maybe useful for tough guys.
Life obviously restores your health. Probably costs a lot of magic, though.
Oh, definitely. And fairy. That was a weird one. Turned Link into a little flying fairy.
Not for fighting, though, right? Just for getting through small gaps or past obstacles. Pure utility.
Yeah. Reflect was crucial, bouncing back magic projectiles. You needed that for certain enemies, especially mages.
Absolutely. And Thunder was the big screen-clearing attack. Your panic button spell.
Managing your magic, knowing when to use these, just as important as the items.
So the magazine also gives you a look at the world with this battle map of Hyrule. It's not super detailed, but it shows the layout.
Yeah, you see North Castle where you start, the towns like Rauru, Ruto, Noburu, Mido.
Vidoro, Parappa, Death Mountain, the Desert Town, Island Palace, Maze Island. It lays out the key spots.
And you see the different terrain, forests, mountains, desert, and it reminds you when you're walking that little lake sprite around, you hit those random encounters. And bam, side-scrolling battle time. Added that element of, like, constant low-level danger. Speaking of danger, the enemy section, the Servants of Ganon. They show pictures and descriptions. It's a real rogues gallery.
Oh yeah, you got the Moby, that weird thing jumping out of the water spots.
A red and blue bubbles bouncing around like crazy. Moldurm, the segmented worm.
Magma that speeds up at you, Drew the swordsman, Louder the rock-throwing beetle.
Goria, the boomerang guy, a classic. And the Iron Knuckle.
Oh man.
The Iron Knuckle.
Infamous. That shield was so annoying. Then there's Basilisk the Dragon, Ackerman the Magician.
Mew, the tiny little skull thing that you could only hurt with the spell magic. So frustrating.
Actually, Bot the Bat, Dealer the Centipede, Aru the little gnat thing, and they even color code them by strength. Magic, normal, strong, helpful.
Just seeing that list brings back memories, mostly of dying repeatedly to some of them.
Yeah. And then you have the big threats, the King's Test, Palace Guardians, the bosses.
Right, guarding the crystals you need.
Right.
The magazine shows pictures of some of them.
There's Iron Knuckle again, but like the boss version.
Yep.
Big armor, sword, shield, often the first major roadblock.
Helmet head, with a club and that giant helmet you had to figure out how to hit.
Basilisk, the green dragon. Ironhead, another armored guy, but with a flail, different attack pattern.
Carrick, the mage. You need reflect for him, definitely. And Guma, with the big double axe.
Just seeing those pictures,
Yeah.
You knew you were in for a fight when you reached the end of a palace. That Iron Knuckle boss. Yeah, that one was tough.
The magazine then starts to walk you through the beginning of the actual quest. Maps and steps.
Right, starting from North Castle, first stop is a cave for the candle, essential.
Then the desert cave for the handy glove to break blocks.
Go to Ruto Town, find the raft at a statue, now you can cross water.
Learn the jump spell on Roru, super important. Find the flute in Parappa Cave for that tornado thing.
And it mentions the secret wood as the ultimate goal. It really gives you that initial push, which could be tricky to figure out alone.
And they don't just stop at the overworld, they give you maps for the early palaces too. Parappa Palace, the first one.
Yeah, shows the layout, where keys might be, how to get to the boss, Horsehead.
Medoro, the Swamp Palace, gets a map too. Shows the paths, keys, and importantly, it tells you you need the candle and the handy glove.
Crucial info. Saves you from getting stuck deep inside without the right tool.
Then the Island Palace later on. Map shows the layout, keys. Guardian is Iron Knuckle again, a tougher one.
And it mentions you need the raft to get there and a key from the King's Tomb earlier. Shows that backtracking element.
And the Palace of Maze Island. Map looks confusing, fitting the name. Guardian is Karak the Mage.
And the magazine flat out tells you you will need the Reflect Magic spell. Just vital advice right there.
Seeing these maps, knowing what items or spells you needed, man, that would have been gold back then.
You know, seeing all the Zelda 2 stuff, it really hits home for me. I played this game a ton with my dad back when I was a kid.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, he wasn't like a huge gamer, but he'd watch me play and get really into it, trying to figure out puzzles, where to go next, and Zelda 2 is just notoriously hard.
Oh, it was brutal. Probably one of the hardest NES games.
We'd spent ages stuck in those palaces. We tried drawing our own maps, you know? If we didn't have this magazine, which maybe we did sometimes, I can't remember exactly, just trying to figure out the path.
I bet those jumps could be tricky too.
Yeah, the platforming. Or just getting hammered by the iron knuckles over and over. Seeing the Swamp Palace map here, or the Island Palace, I just get this flash of memory, trying to make that one perfect jump, or finding that last key. It was this challenge we shared, trying to beat this super tough game together.
Did you guys ever beat it?
We never actually did. Which is kind of sad, but also like a really distinct memory. Looking at these pages now, you just realize how valuable this magazine was. It wasn't just tips, it was almost required reading to even make progress.
Totally puts it in perspective. No internet, no walkthroughs online. You had this, or your friends, or maybe calling the Nintendo hotline.
Exactly. If you were stuck, you were just stuck.
So the Zelda feature doesn't cover everything, obviously.
Yeah.
It teases the 5th and 6th palaces, the Great Palace. The adventure continues.
Makes sense. 17 pages wasn't even enough for the whole thing.
Okay, so shifting gears massively from Hyrule to Half Pipes, Skate or Die.
Whoa! Total change of pace. Thrash in action.
Yeah, trading swords for skateboards. The magazine shows the different events. Starts at the skate shop, meet the manager. Basic hub, I guess.
Then the ramp. You could do freestyle, trying to impress judges with tricks.
Pulling off combos.
Or high jump, where you just build speed and try to launch yourself through a sign way up high. They show the ramp area.
Downhill was a race, the jam race.
Yeah.
Go down a slope, avoid obstacles, hit checkpoints. They even show a little map of the course.
And the weirdest one, in the pool, joust. Pool skating, but you have a joust stick to knock off opponents.
Yeah, they show the opponents. Lester, Poser, Pete, and Aggro Eddie. Perfect 80s skate names.
Totally captures that vibe. And the cool part is the pointers from the pros section.
Oh yeah, it's great. It shows diagrams of the tricks. Aerial, shove it, ollie air, boneless tail slip, hand plant, rock and roll slide.
Seeing the picture along with the name, super helpful for figuring out how to actually do them in the game.
Definitely. And then there's the compete all option for the full marathon.
Okay, who's next?
Oh,
Howard and Nestor are back. Part 2 of their comic adventure.
it's like they're at an airport trying to find a coach or something.
Yeah, and someone, probably Nestor, misses a jump and falls. Classic clumsy Nestor humor, playing on game stuff.
Seems about right. All right, changing pace again. Educational games.
Yeah, a quick spotlight on stuff for younger kids. Sesame Street 1-2 Lever 3 featuring Ernie's Magic Shapes. Teaches shapes and colors.
Looks cute. And Astro Grover.
That one focuses on counting aliens, numbers, simple math, with Grover, Ernie, and Bert.
It's a good reminder that the NES and Nintendo Power tried to cover a range of stuff, not just action games.
True. Okay, next up, the ever-reliable Counselor's Corner. Q&A time.
Yes, straight from the Nintendo game counselors. Always full of gold. They tackle Super Mario Bros. 2 questions here.
Like how to get across that huge water gap in World War III. That one stumped everyone.
Right. And the answer is that weird trick with the bird enemy's egg. Grab it, throw it back at the bird to make a temporary platform. So obscure.
Totally unintuitive. You'd never guess that. What else for Mario 2?
Warp Zone locations. They show you where to find them in World 1, 3, and 4, 2. Always good to know the shortcuts.
Definitely. And that specific glitch, if the Shy Guy in 4-3 falls off before you need him.
Simple fix. Just run back off screen and come back, it resets. Little things like that save so much frustration.
For sure. They also help with Golgo 13, how to get past Greece.
Yeah, gives a little maze map for a bunker, mentions using items like magic or a hoop looking for a hotel.
Yeah.
Even hints the answer might be on your player card. Shows they covered less common games too.
Good stuff. Okay, moving on to classified information. More secrets.
This section is always awesome. Tips for Kung Fu. Mission 1 magic about climbing a pole. Avoid conflict for beating Williams.
Mega Man gets tips. Special strategy for Wily's Fortress robots one at a time using Proto Man.
Life Force. This is the big one. Build a fleet. It's the Konami code.
Yes. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start. For 30 lives. That tip alone was legendary. Made the game beatable for so many people.
Absolutely essential. Then Gauntlet gets a weird double agent tip, letting 2 players control 1 character. Kinda glitchy.
Blaster Master gets key play, pointing to a tool in Stage 5.
And Metal Gear again. Alternate weaponry, suggests the rocket launcher. And indestructible, hinting you can't just shoot Metal Gear itself. Big clue.
Track and field 2 tips too. Hammer throw angle, button mashing for swimming, choosing the right swimmer. Very specific advice.
Yeah, this section was great for covering lots of games with really useful, sometimes game-breaking tips, and they asked readers to send in their own, calling all agents.
Love that community feel. Okay, what else? Marble Madness.
Yeah, the arcade port, guiding that marble through mazes against the clock, Tricky controls, tricky physics.
They introduce the enemies, the black ball chasing you, the Marvel Eater.
Slimes that slow you down, dive-bombing birds. Lots of ways to fail.
And they show maps for stages. Stage 3, intermediate. Stage 4, aerial race. That one was tough. Stage 5, the silly race. Even the bonus zone.
Having those maps would have been huge for planning your ride, knowing where the traps are.
Definitely needed for that game. Next up, Operation Wolf.
The military shooter, often played with the zapper, right? Rescue the prisoners.
Yep. Clear areas, use the zapper or controller, find items like grenades and health. The magazine gives hints on finding those items.
And they list the 6 stages. Communication center, jungle, village, ammunition dump, prisoner camp, airport. Gives you the whole mission flow.
Straightforward progression. Okay, now for the Nintendo Powerball, football time.
Right, they cover 3 games, Tecmo Bowl, NFL football, and John Elway's quarterback.
They talk about picking teams. NFL had real teams. Tecmo focused on different team styles. Elway's game focused on player stats.
And they show the playbooks. You see the different formations, offensive and defensive plays for each game. You can kind of compare the strategic depth.
Yeah, Tecmo Bowl looks simpler, more arcadey. NFL maybe a bit more traditional. They show touchdown screens, final scores, the good stuff.
Cool comparison. Okay, back to Metal Gear one more time.
Yeah, expanding on the earlier tip, calling it a realistic action adventure.
They stress using weapons and items, show the Outer Heaven map, talk about using different routes, sneaking around.
And they give specific boss hints,
Yeah.
hints to defeat each foe. Strategies for the Shot Guard, Machine Gun Kid, Red Tank, Fire Trooper.
These boss fights were tough. Getting tips like this would be amazing. And it reminds you the goal is destroying the supercomputer, teasing the leader reveal.
Classic Metal Gear intrigue. All right, video shorts, the quick preview section.
Always fun to see what little snippets they included. Friday the 13th. Survive, Jason. A horror game.
World Games, the international sports follow-up, Star Soldier, the shooter, Rampage, playing as giant monsters destroying cities.
Yes. Othello, the board game. Robo Warrior, sci-fi action. Spy versus spy, based on the Mad comic, tricking your opponent.
Gyrus, that cool space shooter with the circular movement, and Qbert, hopping on cubes, avoiding coily. Just a great mix, showing the variety on the NES.
Totally. Okay, Pack Watch, what's coming soon?
Big features teased for next time. Ninja Gaiden, described as movie-like, coming in March, April. And Hudson's Adventure Island.
Nice. And more Zelda 2nd coverage promised, because it's just that big.
Lots of sports games coming, too. Pro basketball, one-on-one, Magic Johnson's Fast Break, hoops.
And other big names teased. RoboCop for March, Bayou Billy also March, Guardian Legend, Knight Rider, Airwolf, Bad Dudes, Defender of the Crown. Wow, lots on the horizon.
Yeah, a busy time for NES releases. They also mentioned the Consumer Electronics Show, CES, where they look for new games. A little peek behind the curtain.
Cool. Now the community stuff. The player's poll postcard.
Right, tucked in the magazine. It's fascinating what they asked. Rank your favorite games from this huge list.
Direct feedback for Nintendo. They asked age 2, in brackets, and what games you plan to buy next. Market research.
And asking if you wanted to be a game counselor. And what makes a good Nintendo Power player? They were really trying to understand their audience.
Then NES Achievers, the high score list. Get your name in the mag.
Players forum for letters. Someone talks about forming Nintendo clubs. Another reader got Super Mario 2, Zelda 2, and Castlevania 2 for their birthday. What a haul.
Seriously, amazing birthday. And the mailbox. More letters. Compliment for Mario 2. Question about Dragon Warrior's release.
And the absolutely critical tip for Zelda 2's save system.
Oh my god, yes. Hold reset while turning off the power. If you just turned it off, poof, gone.
That one tip probably saved millions of hours of collective gamer frustration. Just essential information only found here, or maybe word of mouth.
Incredible. Okay, nearly done. Power supplies, the accessories page.
Yeah, controllers, joysticks, the weird roll and rocker foot thing.
Yeah.
Showing off the peripherals.
And play choice, the arcade machine that played NES games.
Right, paper play NES and the arcade, up to 10 games per machine. Cool way to try before you buy, maybe.
And finally, the subscription offer. Give a card to a friend, get a free power pin, save some money, standard mag stuff.
And that pretty much wraps up our tour through Retro Rewind, issue 004, Jan-Feb 1989.
Wow, we covered a lot. That massive Zelda 2 feature, Skate or Die, football games, tons of tips from Counselor's Corner and Classified Info, Pack Watch previews, the community stuff.
It really drives home how important these magazines were back then, doesn't it? They were the guide, the community forum, the news source, all rolled into one. Kind of like the internet for NES players before the internet.
Absolutely. So think back. You know, games like Zelda 2, notoriously tough. Without guides like this, without those maps, those item lists, those enemy strategies, that save tip, how did you manage? How did you get past those parts that just seemed impossible? Was it just pure stubbornness, trading secrets with friends? Or did you have this issue maybe? And do you remember that feeling, that incredible satisfaction when you finally beat that boss or solved that puzzle that had you stuck for ages?
Yeah.
Maybe thanks to a hint you found right here.